Okay, so today we're going to do a deep dive on something pretty interesting.
Well, sounds good.
We're looking at this piece, Rules of the Road by Jeremiah Owyang.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But it's not really about driving like you might think at first.
Okay.
It's about how we think about our lifespan.
Oh, I see.
And he uses this analogy of car ownership, which is pretty clever.
It is clever.
Like he basically says that our body is our vehicle.
Right.
But instead of miles,
Yeah.
the mileage is measured in time.
Interesting.
Which really got me thinking because he says that like the average lifespan is something like 4,000 weeks.
Wow.
Which, when you think about it like that, it really makes you think about how we're spending our time, you know?
It really puts it in perspective, doesn't it?
Yeah, totally. And then he goes on and makes this distinction between like lifespan and health span.
Yeah, the health span.
Which I thought was really interesting.
I think that's a really key point.
Have you ever noticed how some people just seem to age so gracefully?
Oh, absolutely.
And they're active and they're just vibrant,
Yeah.
like well into their later years.
It's amazing.
And I think that's kind of what he's getting at with health span.
Yeah, it's not just about living a long time.
Right.
It's about the quality of that time.
Exactly. So it's not just about hitting a certain age.
Yeah.
It's about how well you're actually living during all those years.
Exactly. And that's where these rules of the road that he talks about come in.
Okay.
He's saying if we take good care of our vehicle,
Yeah.
our bodies,
Right.
we can actually extend our mileage, so to speak, meaning like both how long we live and how
Yes.
well we live.
So how do we do that? Does he actually like give us specifics?
He does, yeah.
Okay.
And it's really interesting because he frames it kind of like car maintenance.
Oh, okay.
One of the big things he talks about is preventative maintenance,
Okay.
which is like all about being proactive with our health, you know?
Like getting regular oil changes.
Exactly. So in terms of our health,
Yeah.
that would be like, you know, all the things we hear about. But he ties them back to the car. Like exercising regularly, that's like keeping your engine running smooth,
Right.
eating healthy foods, you know, a balanced diet that's like using high quality fuel
Yeah.
and getting enough sleep that's like recharging your battery.
I love that analogy.
It's a good one.
Yeah. Because it makes all those healthy habits seem a lot less like a chore
Yeah, for sure.
and more like essential maintenance.
Totally.
You know, if you want to have a high-performing machine.
And he actually uses that term high performance sports car
Oh, does he really?
to talk about like the potential that we have if we really take care of ourselves. Like we can be strong and flexible, have tons of energy.
Like a finely tuned race car.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
But then he flips it and he's like, what if we don't take care of ourselves?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. What happens if we skip the oil changes?
Right. Or if we put in the cheapest gas.
Right.
You know, we all know what happens to a car when you do that.
It breaks down.
It breaks down. Yeah.
It doesn't run as well.
Doesn't perform as well.
Doesn't last as long.
Exactly. And he's saying the same goes for our bodies.
Oh, wow.
If we're constantly making poor choices, it leads to like a lower quality of life.
Yeah.
And it could even shorten our lifespan.
So then, like, what are we supposed to do? Because he says we don't get a trade-in
Right.
with this body, you know?
He makes a good point. You know, you only get one car.
We're stuck with it
You're stuck with
for the whole journey.
Right.
And that was what really hit me.
I think that's a really important point.
Yeah.
It makes you think, you know, if we only get one, how are we going to treat it?
That's a really good point.
Owyang's analogy really makes you think about that.
So to kind of sum up what we've been talking about,
Yeah.
I think the big takeaway here is that if we start to think about our lifespan as like a limited mileage,
Yeah.
it can really change how we think about
Absolutely.
our health and well-being.
I think it shifts our whole perspective.
Yeah.
And it makes us a lot more mindful about how we're driving our bodies, you know, through life.
You know, it kind of makes me think like,
Yeah.
if you had to choose,
Yeah.
would you rather have a really long lifespan, even if it meant you had to deal with some health issues?
Yeah.
Or would you prefer a shorter lifespan,
Yeah.
but one that was full of vitality and well-being?
That's a question we all struggle with, I think, even if we don't realize it. It's
Okay.
something to really think about when you're considering Owyang's ideas, you know?
It is. And listeners, I'm curious, what stands out to you about this concept of lifespan as mileage?
Yeah.
As you go about your day-to-day, you know, think about your own vehicle.
Mhm.
Are you maximizing your mileage?
Good question.
Are you thinking about not just the quantity of your life,
Right.
but the quality of the ride as well?
Absolutely.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.